Hi first graders, it's Mrs. Saul and I'm back with another read aloud for you today. So last time I did a read aloud, we read the book Bedtime for Frances. And I told you that Frances, or Bedtime for Frances, was one book, the first book in a series of books. And we talked about how a series of books means that an author uses the same character or characters in several books. And what's great about reading a series of books is that we start to really get to know characters. So when we read Bedtime for Frances, we talked about some words that were good words to describe Frances. And we discussed how words that describe a character are called character traits. And when we're describing a character, we usually pay attention to how a character acts by looking at what they're doing, what they're saying, what they're thinking in the book. Okay, so remember, character traits are not what a character looks like on the outside. That's just words we would use to describe what someone looks like. But when we want to think about traits of a character, we want to think about words that really describe what kind of person they are. So when we read Bedtime for Frances, we came up with some words that we thought were good words to describe Frances based on things that she did in that story. So to get ready for our next story today, I want us to activate our schema. Remember, your schema is everything you have in your head about something, okay? So we're gonna activate our schema about Frances. So I thought a good way to do that would be to first take a minute to remember, what character traits did we use? What did we learn about her in the first story? So I made a chart over here. I'm gonna turn my camera a little bit. And I made a chart over here. It says character traits for Frances. I have a picture of Frances here, and I thought we could activate our schema and add some words that describe Frances. Now, before we do that, I just wanted to remind you that when readers are reading, good readers don't usually take out a piece of paper and write down things like character traits. These are things that readers do in their mind. We think about characters. What do we know about them? What did we learn about them? What can we say about them, okay? So this isn't usually something we would write down, but because we're learning how readers think, sometimes it's good to put our thoughts on paper, which is why we're gonna do that today, okay? So let's think back a minute to the story Bedtime for Frances. You'll remember in that story, Frances had to go to bed and she wasn't really happy about that. Remember, she was a little bit upset. She didn't want to go to bed. She was making lots of excuses for, going to bed. She wasn't tired. She got out of bed a whole bunch of times. So we talked about how one thing we learned about Frances based on that book and how she acted was that she was smart or clever. So I like the word clever because it's a little more fancy than the word smart. So I'm gonna add the word clever here. That would be a word we could use to describe Frances, okay? Another word we talked about was a word that has to do with having a good imagination. And that was the word imaginative. We talked about how she had a really great imagination. She was imagining there was a tiger in her room and a giant in her room. So I'm gonna add the word imaginative to our chart as well. That's a big old word, huh? Imaginative. Another word that we talked about was how we thought she was brave because she was nervous that there was a tiger and a giant in her room. She didn't know what was bumping on her window. She didn't know why the curtains were blowing, remember? But even though she was feeling a little nervous about those things, she still was brave enough to go back into her room. And sometimes she was even investigating what was going on or what was, what the shape was she saw in her room or what the sound was. So we said that she was brave, okay? Another word that we used for her was the word dramatic. Dramatic means that usually you make a big deal out of something that's a little deal. So dramatic is another good word for her because she was saying there were things in her room when it was really, remember, just a robe on her chair, but she thought it was a giant. So we're going to use that word dramatic to describe her also. Dramatic. Okay. So I think those were the main words we came up with that described Frances. So now that we know these things, we've thought about them, we've activated our schema and thought about what we know about Frances. We also know she's kind of silly. Oh, I forgot that one. Silly because remember, she was, coming up with all of these reasons why she couldn't go to sleep. And some of the things she was thinking of were pretty silly. It made me laugh. So I'm going to add the word silly to our chart also. All right, so now we are ready to read our next story. Okay, so this one is called A Baby Sister for Frances. And in this book, as you can probably guess, Frances's mom has a baby and Frances gets a new sister. We've read a few books about characters getting a new baby brother or a new sister, a new sibling, a few of them this year. So right away, when I see this title, A Baby Sister for Frances, right away it made me think about Julius, Baby of the World. Remember that? That's what I thought of immediately when we talked about this book. It made me think, oh, I know what happens when a new baby is in the house. So I know that sometimes some of the characters feel a little bit jealous. They feel left out. They feel like they're not being paid attention to. So I wonder if we're going to notice some of these things in this book today. Let's keep an eye out for them. Okay? So here we go. I hope you enjoy A Baby Sister for Frances. Again, this was written by Russell Hoban, and the pictures are by Lillian Hoban, who is related to him. I'm not sure how. Maybe that's something you guys can look up and find out the answer to. And then you can send Mrs. Saul an email and tell her. Here we go. A Baby Sister for Frances by Russell Hoban. Pictures by Lillian Hoban. How cute. Look at the little baby. It was a quiet evening. Father was reading his newspaper. Mother was feeding Gloria, the new baby. Oh, we just discovered what Frances's new baby sister's name is, Gloria. Frances was sitting under the kitchen sink. She was singing a little song. She sang a song in the other book too. Maybe we should add the word talented to our chart later because she was really good at coming up with songs by herself. That might be a good word to add to our chart. Let's listen to this song that she's singing while she's sitting under the sink. Plinkety, 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 plink. Here is the dish rag that's under the sink. Here are the buckets and brushes and me. Plinkety, 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 plee. Oh, I noticed it's another rhyming song. And there she is. There's Mom and Dad. Mom's feeding Gloria, and she's sitting under the sink. She stopped the song and listened. Nobody said anything. I think she stopped to listen because she's wondering if anyone's paying attention to her. Frances went to her room and took some gravel out of the drawer where she had been saving it. Friends, in case you don't know, gravel is like little tiny rocks. Sometimes you'll see a driveway or a pathway covered with gravel. It's very small rocks, that's what it is. So she had some gravel in her drawer. She put the gravel into her empty coffee can and put the lid back on. Frances marched into the living room and rattled the gravel in the can. Well, friends, let's think about this. If you have a whole bunch of little tiny rocks and you put them inside of a metal can, what do you think that's going to sound like when you shake it? Ooh, it's going to be noisy, right? As she marched, she sang a marching song. Here we go marching, rattly bang. Oh boy. I'm going to stop for a second here because I'm going to infer, I'm going to take a guess and think about, based on what I've read so far. Frances has a new baby sister, mom was feeding the baby, the house was very quiet, and now here comes Frances shaking a can with rocks in it and singing and marching. I think maybe that mom and dad might be upset that she's going to upset the baby. Let's find out. Please don't do that, Frances, said Father. Frances stopped. All right, she said. Oh, my inference was right. I was correct. My prediction was right. I inferred that her parents wouldn't be happy, and I predicted that maybe they'd be upset with her, and they were. Her father asked her to stop. She went back to the kitchen and sat down under the sink. Mother came in, carrying Gloria. Why are you sitting under the sink? Mother said. I like it here, said Frances. It's cozy. Would you like to help me put Gloria to bed? Said Mother. Oh, well, that was very nice. How much allowance does Gloria get? Said Frances. She is too little to have an allowance, said Father. Only big girls like you get an allowance. Isn't it nice to be a big sister? Friends, an allowance is sometimes people get paid for jobs that they do at home, chores that they do. So sometimes kids do certain chores at home and they earn an allowance. That just means they're earning money for the chores they're doing to help at home. So let's see what Frances earns. May I have a penny along with my nickel now that I am a big sister? Said Frances. Yes, said Father. Now your allowance will be 6 cents a week because you are a big sister. So she was getting a nickel before. A nickel is equal to 5 cents. And now she's asking for one more penny. So she'll have 6 cents. And Dad has agreed. I know a girl, Thank you, said Frances. I know a girl who gets 17 cents a week. She gets 3 nickels and 2 pennies. Well, said Father, it's time for bed now. Father picked Frances up from under the sink and gave her a piggyback ride to bed. I remember that. He gave her a piggyback ride in the last story too. Mother and Father tucked her in and kissed her goodnight. I need my tiny special blanket, said Frances. Mother gave her the tiny special blanket. And I need my tricycle and my sled and both teddy bears and my alligator doll, said Frances. I'm laughing again, friends, because this is just like the last story we read. Again, we know what Frances does at bedtime. She's trying to stall bedtime and trying to distract her parents, and she's asking for all these things. But why does she need her tricycle and a sled to go to sleep? That seems so silly. Father brought in the tricycle and the sled and both teddy bears and the alligator doll. Mother and Father kissed her goodnight again, and Frances went to sleep. Oh, thank goodness, she went to sleep right away. Maybe she remembered that's her job to go to sleep. In the morning, Frances got up and washed and began to dress for school. Is my blue dress ready for me to wear? Said Frances. Oh dear, said Mother. I was so busy with Gloria that I did not have time to iron it. So you'll have to wear the yellow one. Mother buttoned Frances up the back, so she's buttoning her dress that she's wearing to school. Then she brushed her hair and put a new ribbon in it and put her breakfast on the table. Why did you put sliced bananas on the oatmeal? Said Frances. Did you forget that I like raisins? No, I did not forget, said Mother. But you finished up the raisins yesterday, and I have not been out shopping yet. Well, said Frances, things are not very good around here anymore. No clothes to wear, no raisins for the oatmeal. I think maybe I'll run away. Again, Frances is very silly and dramatic. So she's telling her mom, I don't have any clothes to wear, I don't have any raisins for my oatmeal, things are not very good around here. Boys and girls, she's got something to wear, it's just not what she wanted. And she had something to go on top of her oatmeal, it's just not what she wanted. So Frances is getting a little sassy here. I would use that word sassy to describe her because she's being a little bit fresh. And now she's telling her parents, her mother, she's gonna run away. Ooh, that's not a good idea. That's not safe to do. Finish your breakfast, said Mother. It is almost time for the school bus. What time will dinner be tonight? Said Frances. 6:30, said Mother. Then I will have plenty of time to run away after dinner, said Frances. And she kissed her mother goodbye and went to school. Ooh, very sassy. She's letting her mom know she is not happy with the state of things in her house. After dinner that evening, Frances packed her little knapsack very carefully. She put in her tiny special blanket and her alligator doll. She took all of the nickels and pennies out of her bank for travel money, and she took her good luck coin for good luck. Then she took a box of prunes from the kitchen and 5 chocolate sandwich cookies. Oh my goodness. So here she is. She's packing her bag. She got her blanket and her alligator doll. She took all the coins from her piggy bank. She took a box of prunes so she had something to eat. Well, said Frances, it is time to say goodbye. I am on my way. Goodbye. Boys and girls, I talked to you before about how sometimes when kids have a new brother or sister, they feel a little bit jealous and like they're not getting paid attention to or as much attention. I think that's what's happening here with Frances. I think she's trying to get her parents' attention by saying, I'm going to run away. Where are you running to? Said Father. I think that under the dining room table is the best place, said Frances. It's cozy. Again, I'm laughing because when I thought she said she was going to run away, I thought she was going to leave the house and like run away to another house or go somewhere. But she's just running away to under the dining room table. That's so silly. And the kitchen is near if I run out of cookies. That is a good place to run away to, said Mother, but I'll miss you. I'll miss you too, said Father. Well, said Frances, goodbye. And she ran away. So she's running away to under the dining room table. I just love Frances. She really makes me laugh. Father sat down with his newspaper. Mother took up the sweater she was knitting. Father put down the newspaper. You know, he said, it is not the same house without Frances. That is just exactly what I was thinking, said Mother. The place seems lonesome and empty without her. Frances sat under the dining room table and ate her prunes. Even Gloria, said Mother, as small as she is, can feel the difference. I can hear her crying a little right now, said Father. Well, said Mother, a girl looks up to an older sister. You know that. I just love Frances's parents. Again, they're not getting upset with her. They're not saying, don't run away, don't run away. They're letting her kind of do what she feels like she needs to do, and they know she's safe because she just ran away to under the dining room table. But they're trying right now, I think, to trick Frances a little bit into thinking, oh, we miss her so much and it's just not the same without her, even though she really hasn't gone anywhere, right? Father picked up his newspaper. Then he put it down again. I miss the songs that Frances used to sing, he said. I was so fond of those little songs, said Mother. Do you remember the one about the tomato? What does the tomato say early in the dawn? Sang Mother. Time to be all red again, now that night is gone, sang Father. Yes, he said, that is a good one. But my favorite has always been, when the wasps and the bumblebees have a party, nobody comes that can't buzz. Well, said Mother, we shall just have to get used to a quiet house now. Frances ate 3 of the sandwich cookies and put the other 2 aside for later. She began to sing. Oh, so I think she heard her parents from sitting under the table because she's only in the next room. So she heard everything they were saying, how they miss her songs. So now she has decided to sing a song. Let's see what she sings. She began to sing. I am poor and hungry here, eating prunes and rice. Living all alone is not really very nice. She had no rice, but chocolate sandwich cookies did not sound right for the song. We know she likes to rhyme, so she didn't want to use the word cookies because it didn't rhyme with what she wanted to say. I can almost hear her now, said Father, humming the tune that Frances had just sung. So Father's pretending that she's not really there, and he's saying, I can almost hear her singing now, which really he can hear her singing now. She has a charming voice. It is just not a family without Frances, said Mother. Babies are very nice. Goodness knows I like babies, but a baby is not a family. Isn't that a fact? Said Father. A family is everybody all together. I don't know if you can see, I'm going to hold it close, but this is how I know, by looking closely at the pictures, that Frances's parents know that she's listening to them. Look at their faces, look at their eyes. Do you see how they're kind of looking back, like they're looking over the couch at her, because she's over here? So that's how I know that her parents know she's listening to what they're saying, and they want her to hear what they're saying. Remember, said Mother, how I used to say, think how lucky the new baby will be to have a sister like Frances? I remember that very well, said Father. And I hope that Gloria turns out to be as clever and good as Frances. Oh, boys and girls, that made me excited just now because we decided that we thought Frances was clever too. We added it to our chart. And now her father has just said that he hopes Gloria turns out to be as clever and good as Frances. So we thought that about Frances, and so does her dad. We must be right about that character trait. With a big sister like Frances to help her along, she ought to turn out just fine, said Mother. I'd like to hear from Frances, said Father, just to know how she is getting along in her new place. I'd like to hear from Frances too, said Mother, and I'm not sure the sleeves are right on this sweater I'm knitting for her. Oh. So again, friends, I think Frances's parents know that she's listening, so everything they're talking about and saying is because they want her to hear this stuff. They want her to hear that they think she's clever and she's good. They want her to hear that they hope Gloria turns out just like her. They want her to know that they're thinking of her and that the sweater that Mom is knitting is going to have the right length sleeves for her. Let's stop for a minute and make a prediction. We know that Frances can hear them because they started talking about how they missed her singing, and then the next thing we knew, she was singing a song. So let's make a prediction here. What do you think is going to happen now that Frances hears everything they just said? That they think she's clever and good, she's going to be a good big sister, they hope Gloria is just like her, that they wonder how she's doing, and they wonder if the sleeves for the dress or the sweater will fit. What do you think Frances is going to do? Let's make a prediction. You think or talk to someone next to you, and I'm going to think too. Okay, I think that maybe Frances is going to come home. I think that she hears them and she realizes that they still love her. They still want her around, even though there's a new baby in the house who takes a lot of attention. They love her and they miss her. I think maybe she's going to come home. Did you make a prediction? Let's see who's right. Hello, said Frances from the dining room. I am calling on my telephone. Hello? Hello? This is me. Is that you? Hello, said Mother. This is us. How are you? I'm fine, said Frances. This is a nice place. But you miss your family when you're away. How are you? We are well, said Father, but we miss you too. I will be home soon, said Frances, and she hung up. Again, another great example of how she's very imaginative and she's silly. She's pretending now she's calling them on the phone and she's saying, hello, I'm calling. And her parents played right along with her. I love that about them. She said that she will be home soon, said Father. That is good news indeed, said Mother. I think I'll bake a cake. Frances put on her knapsack and sang a little traveling song. So I guess she's traveling back home from the dining room. Big sisters really have to stay at home, not travel far away, because everybody misses them and wants to hug and kisses them. I'm not sure about that last rhyme, said Frances as she arrived in the living room and took off her knapsack. That's a good enough rhyme, said Father. I like it fine, said Mother, and they both hugged and kissed her. So Frances is back home from the dining room. What kind of cake are you baking? Said Frances to Mother. Chocolate, said Mother. It's too bad that Gloria's too little to have some, said Frances. But when she's a big girl like me, she can have chocolate cake too. Oh yes, said Mother. You may be sure that there will always be plenty of chocolate cake around here. The end. That's the end. So Frances is watching her mom. I love that the author said that, or the mom said that at the end of the book. She said, you may be sure that there will always be plenty of chocolate cake around here, meaning so much more than just that. I think her mother was really trying to say to her, Frances, don't worry. All the things that you love and you like to have or you like to eat, we'll always have those for you. You're important to us. Friends, I hope you enjoyed that story. And let's add to our list what we had talked about. So let me think. What were we talking about in the story? We thought of another word we should add. Oh, what was it? Mrs. Saul is forgetting. I wish you could talk to me and tell me. What was the word we said? I think I might have to go back and look for a second. I remember when we were looking in here, I was thinking, oh, I remember she was singing the song. She was singing a song. Remember, she was under the sink in the beginning, and we were saying that she likes rhyming and that she's talented because she's really good at making up rhymes, right? I'm gonna use a different color marker, I think. Where did I put my markers? Sorry, friends. Mrs. Saul lost her markers. All right, I'm gonna have to use the same color, I guess, because I don't know where they went. Hold on. Oh, I found them. They were in my drawer. Sorry. And now I threw them. All right. So I wanted to use a different color, and the reason is because these words that I wrote with the red marker, I want us to remember that these were the first things we kind of decided or discovered about Frances, her character traits from the very first story we read. So I want to use a different color now. I'm going to go in rainbow order. If you know me, you know I love rainbows. So I'm going to go in rainbow order because that's going to help us remember which words did we come up with to describe Frances first, and which ones did we add later as we read more stories. So I'm going to add the word talented because she's talented for a few reasons. Number one, she is a good singer. Number two, when she makes up her own songs, she's like a songwriter. She makes up her own songs and she's really good at rhyming them, okay? So I think talented is a great word to add to describe her here, okay? Is there anything else you could think of that maybe we should add to this chart to describe Frances? Let's see. Well, I think a lot of the same ones still apply. She was still silly. She was still kind of dramatic in the story. She ran away. She made a big deal out of something that's not really a big deal. She was still clever. She still had a good imagination. I think talented is the one I think we should add for this. And if you guys think of any others, can you email me and tell me so I can add them to our chart? I can't wait to hear. All right, friends, so that's it for today. I hope you loved that book. Next time, we're going to read another Frances book. We have 4 more Frances books to read, so I am going to read the whole series to you. So that was only the 2nd book. So we'll read again, and we'll keep paying attention to Frances and see if we can discover any more character traits about her. Okay? I hope you guys have a great night. See you later. Bye.